Hello and welcome to Green Good News. Today I'll be talking about the co-benefits of electrifying your home. Why am I talking about this topic? If you look at our greenhouse gas reduction targets, buildings are being targeted with larger greenhouse gas reductions than other sectors. In BC, we're targeting 40% reduction in the next 10 years before 2030, whereas buildings are targeting 60% in that sector compared to only 30% in transportation. And we need to achieve 60% reduction even though we're adding around 40,000 new homes per year, as well as other commercial and institutional buildings. So it's quite a challenge to achieve. The key though is electrification. With grids like in British Columbia that have low greenhouse gas emissions for their electricity generation, you get a very high greenhouse gas impact by switching from natural gas to electricity. Some argue that you could use renewable natural gas. However, there is a limited supply of that. And there are other sectors like the industrial sector where the technologies to switch from natural gas to electricity might not necessarily be as good. So let's keep the renewable natural gas for those sectors that have a harder time in electrifying. In terms of a retrofit, there are a number of challenges in terms of why people might not want to switch to a heat pump. And the number one thing is that it can be expensive. If it's time to replace your furnace, replacing with the heat pump might be more expensive than replacing with a regular natural gas furnace. Also, even though your heat pump, as I will show in the next slide, your heat pump can reduce your energy consumption substantially, the fact that natural gas is cheap compared to electricity, your operating cost might not necessarily go down, they might actually increase with your heat pump compared to your furnace. And if you are planning to do a retrofit and you saved money to do a retrofit, there are other competing reasons why people want to do retrofits, like switching, renewing their kitchen, getting a new bathroom, those types of things that are more tangible that you can feel compared to greenhouse gas reductions where you can't necessarily feel the greenhouse gas reductions that you're generating. The good news is that there are other reasons beyond cost savings why you would want to electrify. Beyond the greenhouse gas reductions, you also get some health benefits. If you are burning natural gas inside your house for your cooking, for your fireplace, your heating, you are releasing some some exhaust gases into your space, and that might not necessarily be healthy. And heat pumps might address overheating. So if you didn't necessarily have a cooling system before, by switching from a furnace to a heat pump, now all of a sudden you can also have cooling in the summer, which will be more and more important as we get more global warming. As I was saying, there are some health impacts in burning natural gas in your space. With new appliances that are operating efficiently, a lot of those exhaust gases are being released outside. However, a study out of California that was published last year found that old appliances that have not necessarily been well maintained are at risk of this ventilation failure or other issues where all of a sudden they're not operating as they should, and some of the combustion gases end up in your space. A 2016 report out of Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory found that for small houses and apartments that had natural gas burning appliances, they were at higher risk of backdrafting. And backdrafting is when you are using your exhaust fans for your cooking, for your bathroom, let's say, and you're doing a load of laundry and your dryer is on. All of those are pulling air out of your space, and all of that exhaust can actually start to overpower the exhaust from your natural gas burning appliances, and it can actually start sucking air in and bringing in the exhaust gases into your space instead of exhausting them out. If you are considering switching from natural gas to electricity, heat pumps are a very good option in the sense that they are more efficient than your baseboard, electric baseboard, and they also provide that cooling benefit, as I said. In terms of energy efficiency, you can reduce your energy consumption by 50 to 75% by using a heat pump compared to your gas furnace. So that can help offset your higher electricity prices compared to the natural gas prices. So even though your electricity per unit energy is higher, now you're saving energy, so you can end up having similar operating costs after you do the switch. And as I mentioned, it provides both heating and cooling. There are essentially two types of heat pumps on the market. There are cold climate air source heat pumps, which are new to the market, and they could actually work efficiently down to -25. So in colder regions of the country, you can now use a heat pump effectively for space heating, even when it's really cold in the winter. In the past, the heat pumps operated efficiently down to about 0 or -5. Those are still on the market. They're less expensive, but they work better in warmer climates, such as we have in the Lower Mainland in British Columbia. And switching from a natural gas furnace to a heat pump in a province like British Columbia that has low carbon intensive electricity system, it's like not driving for 9 months out of the year. So in terms of a personal greenhouse gas reduction, it is quite substantial in terms of reducing your greenhouse gas emissions. And in the last 4 or 5 years, we've experienced a number of summers where this is what we see, is that we have forest fires. They can be anywhere in North America or even beyond. And all of a sudden, we have this unbearable amount of smoke, and we can't even open our windows for cooling. So doing the switch to a heat pump can help be part of a solution to help address this. If at the same time as doing your heat pump, you also add a more ventilation system with filtration, so you could bring in more fresh air, but have that air filtered so that you're not getting dust, pollen, other allergens, and that smoke, you can help address it. But to make it effective, you also have to do some air sealing. So if your house is really leaky, there's lots of cracks around your windows and other areas, you should take the time to seal your house as well, so that you're not, when there are a smoke event and you are shutting down your windows, that you're not getting this air into your space through all these cracks. The good news is that air sealing is one of the most cost-effective ways of reducing your energy consumption, so that will have an added benefit of providing you both health and comfort. I've had a number of people tell me, okay, I am okay with switching to an electric heating system. However, I really love my gas range and I really don't want to switch to an electric cooking. So this is what is holding people back. And I would say if you're going to compare a high-end gas range, you should compare it to a high-end induction range as well. So you compare the two and see what are the advantages of both. And the gas range, like the other appliances, the gas appliances, there are some health impacts of using gas to cook in your kitchen. And that UCLA study found, out of a small sample of people, they asked a couple hundred people, around 2/3 of those people did not use the vent hood while cooking, at least not every time. And if you're not using your vent hood and you're going to be cooking for a while in your kitchen, you are going to exceed the threshold of the limit of NO2 concentrations in your house to keep your house healthy. So you are going to exceed some of those limits. And if you are using your vent hood, some vent hoods are more efficient than others. And depending on if you're using your front elements or your back elements, you're going to be removing more of the pollutants or less. But there's a range in terms of how much of those combustion gases that are being removed. So you are still getting some of those combustion gases into the house. And then there was a study that looked at lots of houses that didn't have gas cooking compared to houses that did have gas cooking. And what they found were in those houses that had gas cooking, that the children in those houses were 42% at higher risk of having asthma. And doing a measurement in terms of the concentrations of this NO2 pollutant in the space, they found that homes that had gas cooking had 50 to 400% higher levels of NO2 concentrations in the home compared to those with electric stoves. So if you are going to switch, does that mean your cooking is going to be slower or not as good? Actually, the opposite is true. So in induction range, 80 to 90% of the energy that is being used is actually going to heat the food. Whereas if you compare that to your natural gas range, only about 38% of that energy goes to heat the food, or the rest escapes into your house. That higher efficiency means that you can actually heat up your food faster with an induction range compared to a natural gas range. You can boil water in half the time with an induction range compared to a gas range. And you're able to better control the temperature. You can actually cook at a lower temperature and a higher temperature and have more control in terms of what temperature you're cooking at with an induction range. And since it uses electromagnetic energy and it heats up your pot through that energy, it actually doesn't heat up the stovetop. So when you're done cooking and your pot is off, that surface will not be hot like a conventional stovetop. So you can help prevent some injuries with burning. The one major disadvantage depends on what your cookware is, whether or not it will work with an induction range. Since it uses electromagnetic energy, not all pots react to this energy. So only steel and iron pots, stainless steel, will be able to cook your food on these stoves. A way to test it is if you stick a magnet to it and the magnet sticks, then you would be able to cook with that pot on an induction range. So if you are ready to make that switch, you could expect to help improve your health and comfort. And right now there are quite a few different rebates available. So you get thousands in rebates from the province, and some municipalities are also matching these funds. And there are now 0 interest loans available to help doing that switch. So thank you for listening. And in terms of a parting thought, if you are going to do the switch, make sure to get a contractor that has a lot of experience installing heat pumps, and that you check with their previous customers that they're happy with the installation. Because since this is a relatively new area, heat pumps have been around for a while, but there haven't been that many people doing it. You got to make sure that you get both a professional that knows what they're doing and that they're using high quality equipment so that you actually get the performance that you want to get. Thanks. Bye.